I
First stream in the new apartment.
Nice. I hope you're not offended. I put featuring Broku. I only give all the extra titles to Quan as he's like a micro celebrity now.
Oh yeah.
He's the Fortnite's YouTuber.
It's another one I can't wait to get caught up on this Fortnite.
Fortnite's been pretty solid. There's a new series in Shonen Magazine too, Gachi Akuta, that's pretty good.
Oh, I've heard about that one.
Angry, the main character's just angry the whole time. He's just pissed off.
Isn't that one like building steam and like popularity?
Yeah, I think they just had to do reprints for the first volume, so it looks like it survived the axe. And Shonen Magazine isn't as axe crazy as Shonen Jump.
Oh, I know. I'm still not over build steam, man.
I'm not either. I'm so upset about it. Like, there's so many things that they could have done, and it's like you just saw like what he was doing already. There was so much world building, like from the first few chapters, and I just wanted them to just let him do his thing. And they keep axing everything every few weeks anyway.
Yeah, like Toriko is just one of my favorites. Like,
yes, and it's
so much potential.
And it's gonna be like 8 years until we get another serious manga from Shimabukuro. He's gonna do like 3 more shit post one shots before he does another serious one.
Oh really?
Oh, have you looked at his one shots or like his other stuff?
I've only.
Oh my god.
Time ago, the actual Build King one shot.
So his other stuff when he's not doing like a battle shonen, it's like super shit post. Like the newest one that they announced, it's like this superhero who's a YouTuber who saves people, but regularly poops his pants while doing it, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, what was the plan with this? It's gonna be a bit. It's gonna be a bit till he comes up with a new fighting series. Breaks my heart. I wish so much that we could have gotten more Build King. Like that's like the one for me for probably like the last like 10 years of series have gotten axed was Build King.
Yeah, like just was starting out pretty well, but.
Oh, Bud says King of Lightning is reacting to Build King. I'll check it out. I'm interested. He likes Toriko, so I'm interested in his take.
Wasn't he like the Toriko YouTuber?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of King of Lightning's takes in general, but I'm sure we would agree on Toriko. And it's like anybody who's read Toriko and knows that old meathead battle shonen style would have read Build King and seen what he was doing, but it's all these new people that didn't want to give it a shot. Oh, Josie says that you're just watching your videos. What Broku video were you watching? Let me pull up your
Chat's
stream
coming
too.
in. It's already pretty going at it. Irene would wipe them all, and Lord Fuckface says she gets stumped. The end. Next.
We're gonna see how this goes. We're doing it more conversational style. I've gotten past the shouting matches. They're not as fun as they used to be.
Yeah.
I feel like they go nowhere.
Yeah. God, Black Clover is better than Fairy Tail. I know Rex will disagree with that.
100%. There's not. Where are the dragons in Black Clover? We have a problem with this. We have a huge problem. Oh, can I? Later, I'll ask you out later because you'd probably do a quick video off it. I throw you some material because I want to do it. I haven't done any Black Clover videos in a while, but I had just like a fun thing to talk about coming out of the time skip. I'll wait until afterwards.
Okay.
Assuming there's a time skip. I doubt we're gonna get. I doubt there's not gonna be a time skip. It'd be weird.
Oh, at the end of Black Clover, or like going into the final saga.
Yeah, there's just been time skips between each of them. It'd be weird not to.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get your dragons. I would think dragons would be cool. I just don't know if we'll get them with just being the final saga. But
I need at least one dragon. Just give me one.
a devil dragon, they should do.
Like, I just want, like, oh, there's one dragon out in the world, and they have to go to him for some reason in the plot, and they have to find out something from him. Bam, cool, one dragon. I just want to see what an actual Tabata dragon looks like. Salamander's a spirit. I don't count him.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's Osteroth in Demonology has, like, a dragon.
Maybe he'll dragon magic.
Show that, yeah. Oh, that would be so sick.
Man. Or maybe he'll just have dragon horns. I'll take that.
Yeah.
If that's the best I get, I'll take it. Just dragon themed.
Ooh, somebody in the chat's coming for you.
Like at enemies? I got a lot of enemies.
Rax is such a fairy tale fanboy. You can't accept the other. I mean, any of their series is better. That's how if for anybody who has a favorite series, that's how it's gonna be for.
The thing is, my consistent stance is whatever the best series is, whatever your favorite series is, and never let anybody change your stance. And I say to everybody, don't let me change your stance. Just who gives a fuck?
Yeah, like Black Clover, like Scott, you can say the same about me because Black Clover is my favorite. Like you just replace
over Record of Ragnarok. I thought Record of Ragnarok overtook it.
No, I was saying that I think I was saying Record of Ragnarok could, but Record of Ragnarok is still in my top 10. But I'm behind on every manga except Black Clover.
And if Build King was still going, can add it to the list. We'd be like a year plus in. There'd be like way more feats and giant monsters. Yeah. Tonkachi's hammer would be going out a mile.
Salamander just looks like a dragon.
It is in the shape of a dragon.
Yeah.
It's
one of its bio pages. It calls it's like dragon form when activates your third eye, makes it bigger.
The first one starts out and it's like an iguana. Like it doesn't even have wings in the first form. Like it's literally Charmander. Like it has like the bug eyes. It looks kind of like almost like a small crocodile or something.
Yeah, it's crazy how much bigger font I got it in such like a short period of time.
It's just that stockpile, that hanging out. You get powerful, just kind of like chilling, talking to trees and stuff, elf stuff.
Even if you have a favorite series, y'all must admit One Piece is the best one.
Not a huge fan of One Piece. I still remember you made a lot of people mad when you said that you liked Fairy Tail more than One Piece.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I mean, I still think that that's definitely the case. Like
One Piece is like
I got 350 chapters for One Piece. So once I said I got 350 chapters in Fairy Tales, I think that's when I said, yeah, it's definitely better. At least I like it.
One Piece has more world building, but I don't think the characters are as good as a lot of I think a lot of other shonen have better main casts.
Characters are great.
Those are super hype. I mean, like look at like start to current like where Gajil is, and then you look at like Sanji is still doing the same things he was doing in East Blue.
Yeah.
He's a little more mature, but he's doing the same clown stuff.
I wonder if I'll like One Piece better if I get further, because people keep telling me that I haven't gotten close to like the best parts because I only got 350 chapters in.
I mean, you're there's still like a better stuff ahead, but like you're like in the prime area, like probably the best run.
Oh yeah.
Like it'll slow down after the time skip. Like it's gonna come to a very slow crawl for a bit. And then you're gonna get to Dressrosa, and it's like 30% is them running from building to building. There's a lot of cardio in One Piece.
I guess that'd be good if it's the best-selling manga. Wasn't it the best-selling comic of all time now? Like regardless of like.
Has it surpassed Batman yet? I think it surpassed Superman.
Oh, okay.
I have to look it up.
500. Wasn't it 500 million? What's that?
Let me see. I'll just look at One Piece surpasses Batman and see what happened. Yeah, just so is it now the top one? Yeah, so it has it surpassed Superman. I don't know which one between Superman and Batman is on the top. Let's see. Oh, only Superman is above it right now. That's gonna be hard though, because like when One Piece ends, it's always gonna have that sale numbers, but it's gonna slow down. Whereas like Superman is gonna depend if like is there a good writer this year? Is the writer suck?
Oh yeah.
He's gonna bust up some like Injustice level event, and then sales are gonna explode again for Superman. Superman's just like a forever IP.
Yeah. Yep, it's been going for a lot longer too.
It's never gonna stop. They're never gonna let Superman die.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you want to address in this? Should we look at like the base fact that she can turn into a dragon that is immune to magic?
I'll start wherever you want to start.
Okay. I think just in general, like, what is? Do you have like an idea of like how they're gonna defend against her? Like, how are people gonna keep themselves from getting their grimoires taken away?
I'm not convinced that she could take the grimoires from limited people.
She can separate magic and things from other people. So if for example there was a scenario similar to William and Patry, and she can just separate them and make them two people, and she can separate magic and magic things from people's bodies. Like, she could take magic, like the magic itself, even if you're born with it, out of your body, and take away your ability to use magic entirely.
And like, has it shown how quickly she's done that?
Yeah, she pointed at somebody and did it. I can show you the panels. And this was as a persona with less than 1% of her base power. And here we go. And essentially, like, it is a maybe if one day the guy she did this to will ever be able to use magic again. And it was enough to undo genetic alteration. One Piece needs to surpass Superman. It'll definitely surpass Superman for a while. I don't think it'll stay ahead of Superman for, like, I give it a couple years. Like, One Piece's steam has really been coming down. I think it's just gonna sit as one of those like forever sellers, but like not the same expanse as Superman. Because they'll do like 5 Superman stories at the same time, where you can only have One Piece.
Like, how quickly did she do this to this guy? How strong is this guy?
That's Nibaro. He at that point is at least gonna be multi-continental. He's in Dragon Force, almost fully progressed into a dragon, and his base is already Spriggan tier for being able to counter moves from Wendy. I can give you the chapter too if you want it.
Okay, yeah. Oh shit, I just realized there's
multi. Like base Spriggan level is gonna be continental, multi-continental, just baseline for scaling from Wall and Ethereon. There's a chapter. Essentially, Wendy's trying to use a fraction of magic. Irene immediately takes over and just pretty much raises her hand and does that. And then teaches her how to do a separation enchantment so she can do this to other people. It was the magic she was trying to use on Mavis to separate Fairy Heart. My personal favorite manga, at least for now, currently, is actually Hunter. Yeah, the Hunter thing I think is confirmed to be true. There were like things saying it was a joke, and it like, well, like there was like stuff saying that like, oh, it was a Japanese guy who's like a comedic mangaka did that as a joke, and they were in on it, and like that's why the Japanese fans weren't really kind of going over because they were aware, and so like I was just really confused for like a solid day of like. It sounds likely that like a Western fans would just immediately take something and go with it. And it's like, apparently it is true. So Hunter will probably get like a volume within the next year. So we're gonna be dealing with Hunter stands for a couple months, and then they'll go back into hibernation for a couple years. They're like those freaking bugs on the East Coast. Every 8 years they will just come out and flood the streets, and they will go back into hiding. They're going to call everything else mid, and they're going to constantly talk about the Chimera Ant arc and show speed lines and scribbles of Togashi's parts and say it's better than your whole manga. Like that's going to happen. This is going to be the next couple months. It's going to be like its own anti-Twitter pandemic. Irene can bypass devil immortality, or am I tripping? I mean, she can enchant their magic into her magic. Power systems don't mean anything to her. She can just take their ability and put it onto hers.
I think that if Irene, even if she took their grimoires, or took their magic, they would still be able to recover their magic from me.
I mean, she's done it to somebody, and as far as we know, he's permanently lost his ability to use magic. And she can then do stuff like take their grimoires and turn them into people, and then have that person have all their abilities, like all the spells within said grimoire.
So I've seen that she turned the swords into grimoires, but can she actually turn? I mean, not into grimoires. She turned swords into people. But can she actually turn grimoires, which are she's connected to souls to actually do that?
Yeah, she can use the separation enchantment to separate them from them, because we know that there are ways in Black Clover for grimoires to be separated from a person. And she essentially enchants a personality into something. She can give it a personality and give it a form by putting magic into it.
Yeah, but
and she can hijack spells. So she could just take over spells like mid-cast. And she's done that to planetary people.
Oh, but she done it to anything else besides swords?
We've only seen it with swords. I mean, these are just magical items, but it's just part of enchanting of putting magic into something, and she can just put personality into something. That's essentially that's pretty much why she's borderline immortal, is because she can put her personality into something, so she can never really die.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say she could still do that, because, I mean, has she shown like soul manipulation?
I mean, she separated souls from bodies, so that's to a degree. Not like the same way of like, I don't know, like casually going around and like soul eating people or something. She can separate them from different entities and put them into things.
I guess I just argue if she did take the grimoires, that Morris would just take them back.
Let her do what?
Morris would just take them back.
Morris? I mean, how many is Morris gonna be able to get to? That's one guy. What happens if Morris loses his grimoire?
Well, the thing is, there's also multiple ways to clone Morris as well.
I mean, they have what? They got like Gauche? Is there anybody besides Gauche?
You got Mirror Brigade. You can actually have multiple Mirror Brigades at once with Raya's copy magic.
It's like two of those.
Dorothy's Glamour World, creating clones of Morris.
I mean, but what's stopping them from just taking their grimoires? Or separating the magic from their body by pointing at them? And she can take over other people's spells. So if you launch an attack at her, she can put her magic into it, and it is now her spell.
What spells has she done that on?
She did that to Haku, who is the White Tiger Dragon, or White Tiger Dragon. He's not the White Tiger Dragon, so before Quan clips that. And he has the ability. He makes like things out of yarn with his magic. And he made all essentially like he's weird. He's got all like these plush things, but he's a fucking Dark Dragon Slayer Knight, so he's like equal to Suzaku, which is insane. He's goofy, but he's very powerful. And she, as a fraction of herself, enchanted her magic and personality into his spell to take over it and to attack him and turn on him. I can show you that one too. And this is with no body as well. Here's one sec. So here's this one. Her ability to take over other people's spells. She's essentially putting her personality into other people's things, like when she does it. So then those things will turn on people, like on the original caster. The guy who says Hunter, he loves Hunter, he says he's not an elitist and he's not with the fandom. There you go. That's how you distance yourself. Just say that you don't identify with the Hunter fandom. That's the clutch move.
These are plushies that wasn't a kid made.
Huh? Yeah, he made them out of magic. I can show you that panel if it didn't show up. Oh yeah, you see the one. He essentially like just makes the yarn out of his magic. In the first panel.
Okay. Well, what were you saying that she turns into, or that she takes over with this spell?
She can take other people's spells over. Like, yeah, you shoot a spell at her, she can pretty much just make that her spell and redirect it at somebody else. And she can do that while enchanting the air, or enchanting the ground, or enchanting people's clothing, or objects. And when she did that, when she separated that dude's magic, she was at less than 1% of her base.
Yeah.
And I can give you that panel too.
So has she done this to like other like I guess like energy based spells that weren't like balls?
What have you seen? Well, we've only directly seen her use it twice. She was using it on Mavis to extract Fairy Heart, but she couldn't do it regularly because Fairy Heart's infinite. And then when we see it again, she does it against Nibaru, and she completely undoes his form and takes away his ability to use magic. And this is a guy like mid Dragon Force, where he's like in the last step to being a full dragon. So like his whole genetic like build is different, and he's like growing hundreds of times like every time he's going up a stage.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree that she would take their or she could take their grimoires, but just redirecting the spells that they launch at her.
I mean, like anything that they launch, she can redirect back. She can separate the magic out of their body. She is immune to magic. She can attack physically as well. She can drop meteors. She can alter the landscape, enchant people's clothing to directly just explode. Anti-magic actually has shown to not work entirely on dragon slaying magic because dragon slaying magic is two power systems at the same time.
Yeah, so basically, I still think Morris, if he did take the grimoires, he'd be able to take them back.
Well, how's he going to take him back? Like, what's his game plan? How is he going to get close to her without having his magic pushed out of his body?
There's like hundreds of characters, clones of him.
Well, I mean, so like the clones she can just enchant and then have that as her own and just turn, like she just, like that's the panel I showed you. She can turn entire swarms of other people's like summoned abilities and just have them switch. And she did this at less than 1% of base. While like inside of a blush body.
I'm not saying that she couldn't take it, but like with all the people.
I mean, like, what's gonna stop her from like just walking up to Morris? Like, somebody has to stop her.
Well, I still think that like Black Clover has a speed advantage.
What speed? Is there a speed feat that is above Galaxia Blade?
I didn't really see that as much of a speed feat.
Well, Margear reacts to it mid spell.
Yeah.
He reacts to it as it's coming down, and he's doing it in base.
When I read the manga, it didn't look like how it did in the anime, where he was taking the light from all
the light. So if you thought about it, think of it's like the night sky, and every dot in the sky light is going to shoot directly to that location. The light was already coming, and Margear reacted to it before it made impact. So his reaction outdid the spell mid movement from going the distance of stars to Earthland in a couple seconds. And we have canon that stuff like, because the 88 constellations are based off of the real life 88 constellations, and we have Deneb from the Cygnus constellation is canon in the verse. He explains his star when he is introduced, and that's like I think it's like 2,400 light years away, crossed in a couple seconds, and this is base Margear, who's fodder to base Irene. And base Irene to Dragon Irene is like a full tier plus apart.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with like the actual speed skill. I'm talking about how like reading the manga versus watching the scene of the anime. Like the anime makes it look like he's actually taking the light from the stars, whereas in the manga it looks like he already has the light contained in his sword.
No, it's coming down. That's the point of why it's directing up. And when Margear says it, he's saying it's an omnidirectional attack. It's coming from all sides in. I didn't get the panel. And that's like, and this is why also you see him point towards the sky, and you see the clouds part and the night sky take over. And like I was saying, it's easier to tell in the anime. I'll post the scene too. But if you like look at the attack itself, you see there are like chunks of beams coming in, and that's the point of like why it's showing the night sky, because that's just all the stars themselves are like pretty much emitting light to this one spot. And then after it connects and it all gets in, it shoots up in that big light pillar. Yeah, because even as Margear says, an attack from all sides. It's not an AoE attack pressing out of him. It's coming from every single direction. Because the whole point was that Margear was dodging everything, so he did an attack from every direction, so Margear couldn't dodge.
Yeah, I still don't see how this would be him taking starlight from every or the 88 constellations in the sky. It doesn't look like that in the manga.
I mean, what do you mean? Like, he's pointing up to the sky. Where does the light come from his sword? And if the light was coming from his sword, it wouldn't be an all directions attack. It wouldn't be from every direction.
Why couldn't he create an attack that would come from every direction around?
But where's you see the light in the panel, you see in the actual one where light is coming out, still light coming down, not light leaving. Like, look at parts of the edge. You see the light still coming in, and it's coming into Margear. It's not coming from the sword. There's no indication that it comes from the sword. It's from the 88 constellations. That's the whole point of the light coming down from it, and why he's clearing out the sky. There would be no real point to him just clearing out the sky if it comes from the sword. The whole point of the sky being shown and put out there was so the light could come in.
So I think that this is only like improving from the anime.
I think it is made easier in the anime. That's what I'm saying. Stuff like what is the point of the light beam still coming in if it's coming from the sword? They wouldn't be moving in. They would be moving out. And the whole from all sides. Where would the light points, like, where would they be coming from if the sword is the center point? Like, do they just form at the edges here? Do they form like at the edge of the page? There's nothing to really go off with that. That's an assumption versus when he's talking about it, he's pointing to the heavens, he's pointing to the 88 constellations, clearing out the sky, and you see in the panel where everything is cleared out, you see light still coming down from it with a direct statement that it's an all sides attack. So it is from every single point around him.
I get what you're saying, but couldn't the contradiction be that it wasn't Haku stated to be light speed?
No, Haku's is in quotations. So the thing is, like, people have gone on that with no context. Every single member of the Dark Dragon Slayer Knights, Mishima has teased what their attribute is, but not told anybody. The titles that they have are just titles. None of them are like Suzaku is the Vermilion Dragon. He's a Saint Sword Dragon Slayer or Sword Saint Dragon Slayer. Kirin's is the Yellow Dragon, but his magic involves controlling the atmosphere. Misaki's is Azure, but she has like a pocket dimension. The whole setup with them is that it is a title because they're based off of the 4 Chinese deities. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but as dragon eaters, their dragon slaying abilities are directly from what they ate, the exact type of dragon. So when Haku's saying it, when he says a white tiger dragon moves, and in the actual Japanese version, it is in quotations. It's an exaggeration when he says light speed. And when he does it, he's saying about white tiger dragons because he's playing. He's being goofy while he's doing it. He's like making cat sounds and laughing. The whole thing about if he was serious and how he's describing white tiger dragons, it wouldn't apply to him because none of his abilities come from white tiger dragon slaying magic whatsoever. That's the point of it. People have only gone that with no context because the context doesn't make any sense by the narrative, consistent feats, or how his abilities work in general. And we have, yeah, and I can give you the Japanese panel too. And we have feats like well, not base, he's got other forms. Pre-beginning of series Guild Arts, casually blitzing light speed with a smile on his face, no problem. And this is the Guild Arts who was like on par with Blue Note, who was fodder to a base Natsu Alvarez, who's not even close to Irene.
I'll just drop the scan and see if this is what you're talking about.
Let me post this Guild Arts feed real quick. Some other comments. What's about Beerus for? Beerus isn't in this. We're not talking about Dragon Ball. I'm trying to headcanon translation. I'm giving context to a translation. Like, it makes no sense. It's like people using the whole Gray is weaker than Mira Jane because he was, like, nervous about fighting her. But it's like, it's only in context to how he sees her the same way, like, Natsu still sees Makarov and Urza is stronger, even though he can body both of them. And he's low-diffed Makarov in base. Like, a Wraith-empowered, way stronger Makarov than Makarov has probably ever been. That's why, like, people... Yeah, which one?
Let's drop it.
Okay, let's see.
Little PC chat.
Yes, I will... Let me... One second, I'm updating... I have the Japanese app, but conveniently it needs to get updated, so I just need to... I'll see if actually... Let me go through my phone. I have it saved somewhere. So in the actual Japanese version, it has it in scare quotes to imply that the author doesn't actually agree with what is being said. And that's why I've been saying people have been only going off of the fan translation and not going off of what Mishima has implied. And it doesn't even... The thing that doesn't make sense is with that same... If this was the claim, Wendy reacts to this in base in the next chapter. Like, straight dead matches it. And Dragon Force by itself is like a multiple 100-time boost. So that would mean that like Wendy would still be hundreds of times faster than light. And the gap between Wendy and Irene is insane. Like, like I said, I'll show you. That's what I'm saying though, is like, it doesn't make sense in context to multiple layers to the story. And it doesn't make sense in context if it was true. And in the next chapter, Wendy just matches it if... Apparently, light speed was now a threat to her, but it hasn't been a threat to anybody since the Grand Magic Games. So I'm trying to.
Speed statements in the Grand Magic Games.
Well, we have the fact is like dragon slaying elements are superior to natural elements in every single occurrence we've ever had, and it's similar to like how devil elements are just by default better than natural elements. But we have stuff like God. I don't think you've seen the anime arc that's canon. Well, both are canon now. The first one, just to get ready to attempt to fight Laxus, Gajil sat under a waterfall and was like struck by lightning continuously for days and barely felt it. But something like pre-Grand Magic Games, Laxus's lightning can one-shot him with no problem whatsoever. There's been and then we have stuff like Natsu doesn't feel fire as hot. Wendy can casually like counteract hurricanes. Gajo can chew through metal with no problem whatsoever, like butter. There's been a consistent showing that dragon elements are dramatically superior. So there would be zero logic in Sting being the only one out of the loop and only in speed. You would have to build an argument for it to be a one-off factor in literally consistency across the whole series.
So, do you have that panel of
I'm looking for it. It's in my phone. I'm gonna try and get it by date. Actually, let me see if let me search up my Twitter. I might have it. I might have said scare quotes at some point when talking to Quan on Twitter. I probably have.
Let's not forget how friendship always wins. It's like in every series.
They just have different ways of going about it. It'll just be a different word.
What's funny is like that's like Yu-Gi-Oh's like main theme, and it never gets shipped for it.
Yes, like if there was like probably the most power of friendship scene I think I've seen in any shonen is when they can't like Pegasus just can't read his mind anymore because like his friends made like a mental block, which just is like it makes no sense. It doesn't even make sense in context to Yu-Gi-Oh. So here's the panel in the Japanese version. It's specifically emphasized and quoted around when he says light, which is why when I said also in context to how his other feats, how his powers work in general, the dialogue around him saying it's pretty much just supposed to be Mishima teasing what his power is without saying it, and people have been running off it as a feat.
Then you have the panels of like the magic is light speed, or the from the earlier in the series.
For which part do you say?
You were talking about the light speed, like it's been consistent since the Grand Magic games.
Yeah, I mean, I can show you this. The one feed I posted earlier. We have friends. I mean, you probably remember easily. Lactus fight people at that stage, handling lightning speeds just fine. I'll pull up the Sting feed though.
Yeah.
Because this is consistent with like lightning speed and up people were like S class, and then Grand Magic games went on to starting to get low Wizard Saint. That's where you start entering light speed area, whereas like something like Guild Arts could blitz it completely. And then you kind of get up to like where crazier Spriggan levels are now. It's kind of like how like Seven Deadly Sins is consistent with power levels, but not whenever they give power level numbers ever. But it's like if you ignore the numbers, a lot of it actually is consistent for the most part. Luckily, we don't have power levels really by numbers. Luckily, Black Clover hasn't had that problem either. And here's another. I was gonna say, yeah. And here's another aspect that also supports Sting's roar. Sting's roar is the only roar out of every roar that is condensed and emphasized on speed. There is only one roar out of every single roar that is like this. Every other roar is pretty much a large AoE cone. And it is also stated multiple times to be light. His white magic is a combination of light and holy. It's two attributes. Well, three if you count dragon. That's a extra thing. Don't need to count the dragon attribute in there, though. Bonus. Well, Irene in July says that he loves the stream. I understand. That is an Irene stan ready to talk about Irene. I understand now. It all clicks and all makes sense. Irene versus Guild Arts. Irene would clap Guild Arts. Hey, Guild Arts is tough, but I mean, Irene is just a monster.
Is there like more evidence that supports that this laser would actually do light speed?
I'm just consistency in general. Like I said, you would have to prove why Sting's is the only one out of every Dragon Slayer attribute that is somehow inferior to its natural counterpart. And while on top of it we have consistency being shown every time that it is a speed-based thing, it's the only one that is condensed into a laser and emphasized on speed.
I mean, but that doesn't inherently... I mean, that would inherently prove it's fast, but not prove that it's light speed.
But I'm talking about consistency, though. Consistency of how the dragon attributes in general work in the verse is that they are innately superior to their natural counterpart, and they always have been.
They're like the natural magic type counterpart?
No, the element in general. Like the elements, like I said, Laxus's base lightning is above natural lightning while under a waterfall for days. And that's why he has to, like, Natsu doesn't feel fire as hot at all. Like, the concept of heat, he doesn't even really bother with it. And he brings that up when, I can actually get the panel for that too, during his fight with Zenkro.
You have the example of, you say, the guy who was taking lightning for days in a waterfall, and then after that his lightning was a lot stronger or whatever.
No, Laxus could with one bolt take down Gajil, but Gajil, to train just to get ready, sat under a waterfall. It's an episode, but it's canon. I can give you the episode. It's part of the Starry Sky arc in the anime. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube. Here's a screenshot of it, not the full scene, but essentially how it was in the Starry Sky arc. He sat under a waterfall for days and just let himself get struck by lightning.
And this was magical lightning?
Oh no, this is natural lightning. This was from lightning itself, like storm clouds.
How was it just spamming him? Like
his body's metal, so he acts as lightning rod.
Okay. And so you're saying that because the Dragon Slayer element has been shown to be superior to regular elements.
Yes, we have it consistently the whole series. Dragon elements have been superior to the pretty much anything unless it's like a specific, like whatever rare mega magic, which is usually then later beaten. But we've never had any occurrence where a natural element beat a dragon element ever.
Yeah, well, is there any like evidence for like the light being faster?
I mean, you just go with like. I mean, there's like later scaling, like obviously you just get stronger, like Patri, but talking about like just what do you mean? Just like his base one?
Like, technically, the Dragon Slayer element could be drastically superior if it's stronger and be the same speed.
Well, I mean, but we've seen it superior in every manner. So like that'd be the same thing. You would have to prove why is it only in speed specifically, and what is it based off of? There's nothing to base that claim off of. Is the thing about that whole bit. Like either trying to prove it faster or slower or anything like that, you can't really there's no ground to base it off of. That's why I usually just baseline what it is, even though it's light speed plus essentially in the first occurrence. Because that is where that bar starts, and we have seen it consistency with them. Like people like Mard Gear having no issues with light speed consistently.
That was just from the anime canon. There's no like statement in the manga. I'm not
for
gonna
what?
Like it because
for what part?
The scene of the dragon elements being superior.
Oh, just something we've seen every time. Like Mishima's a very show don't tell kind of guy with a lot of stuff, but we've never had an occurrence where a dragon element is inferior to a natural element one time. Like dragon slayers and dragons don't even feel like the damage from them. It's just natural them, and We know that it is their resistance, like Dragon Slaying resistance, is all based off of level, and so obviously anything either much stronger than them, they can get damaged from. Like, Natsu's had stuff like with Zenkro or times where Gajil's been hurt by swords. But if they are superior to them, then it's not going to affect them. And we've never seen a Dragon Slayer ever at any point ever be inferior to their natural attribute.
Who was the Dragon Slayer that used the light magic?
Oh, Sting. Lord Fuckface says Elf Luck slaps Laxus. I don't think you want to have that argument. Like, you can put any luck. He's gonna do his best move. Laxus is gonna catch him and just punch him. And how far did you get in 100 Years Quest? Did you get to Laxus's fight?
Well, I got to the point where I think it was Alderaan was just revealed.
Oh, see. Oh, right there. Oh, you didn't get to where, like, you didn't see Laxus's. Oh, so you got the fight? He got up?
I don't remember. I think.
Or did you get to, like,
just right when I got to when it was revealed? Alderaan was revealed, and then I think it's like the statement where he's like, "Oh, that took like 1 HP from me. You need."
Oh yeah. So, yeah. So you saw the fight where, like, Laxus pretty much now is a berserker, and he has blood lightning on top of everything else. I don't think Luck wants that.
Alright, so I pretty much would agree that Fairytale would be likely light speed based on that, like the preponderance of evidence. It just still wouldn't buy the lights, the Celestial, the Galaxy Blade.
Why?
It's so different in the anime. It doesn't look like.
I mean, the only difference is you see the light straightly come down. That weird middle panel where you see the actual name and it's like a weird circle is really hard to see what the fuck is going on with that one. But when you actually see the light coming down, you see Margear mentioned an attack from all sides and light still coming down from the sky. There's nothing that says that it comes from the sword. He's pointing at the sky, the sword is affecting the sky, and the light comes from the sky. And on top of that, actually, Mishima admin the anime.
Yeah. But, so the thing with that is that the light could still be gathered from nearby, because like the light that the stars are emitting are from light, like essentially in the past. And its light rays would already be not affecting, but around the Earth because of the light it's emitting.
Oh, they're from the 88 constellations. They're not from just light in the sky. Like, what would be the point of saying they're from the constellations if the light is already out there somewhere?
That's what they would already be there though.
But there's nothing to go off of that.
The night sky, and you see like the stars in the sky. That their light, even if it's like a little bit, is still like their rays of light are providing light onto the system.
The context of the scene though is there's nothing going on until he does it. There's nothing really to base the idea that the light, he's just getting light from like randomly scattered out into space. There's more evidence for he's drawing it directly. And on top of that, Mishima actually admin the anime and put additional stuff in the anime. So it would be overwritten canon to a degree.
Was it that for this episode?
It was for the whole arc. He added stuff to the last 2 arcs in the anime. And that's why we have stuff like he mentioned that, because initially he had to have stuff cut from the manga when he was doing Tartaros, so he admin the anime to add stuff into it. And he's pretty much worked directly with the guy who did Fairy Tail and Eden Zero's like whole show running for their anime. So he's had a direct hand in approving pretty much anything that's gone on and added to it. That's why except the Daphne.
Is there like a statement for that or like
yeah, it's in one of the volumes. I'll find it. There's a whole bit about it in the Tartaros arc. And why he adds like Rusty Rose in there and he teases Margear earlier and they have the whole stuff building up with Laharl. It's gonna take a minute. I gotta figure out which volume extra it was. Not volume 50. I can chalk that off my list. 48. I don't remember what volume it is. Hang on. Irene versus Celine. I mean, Celine would clap Irene. That's just the gap is too huge. Irene would just like drop her in some random pocket dimension, who knows where, and then just leave her there. She's just too strong. Oh, you got a super chat from Don Quixote. He says Goku solos both verses. As long as it's Super Saiyan 4. I don't want none of that blue Goku. None of that white Goku. I need the Super Saiyan 4 coolest looking form for Goku.
Super Saiyan 4 is the best. I got a figure hanging up on my...
Super Saiyan 4 is the only Dragon Ball figure I've ever contemplated getting. And every time I just think about it, it's like I could get something else, but I mean Super Saiyan 4 is just so cool. And Super Saiyan 4 just makes way more sense to me.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a fan of the recolors.
Like, did you ever watch GT?
Yeah. GT, like, if they gave GT the little production Super had, like, nobody would question it. Nobody's gonna question it's better. Like, the only parts people remember is, like, when Goku's younger, and it's kind of like, he gets reset a little bit, and then he gets relatively back to normal, and it's just like, let him do his thing. He's fine.
Did you ever, or did you notice, or have you heard about how, like, they basically did God Goku better in GT than...
Yeah, it was better. It was way better. And, like, did you see the stuff for the new movie?
Yeah, I'm not hyped for it.
The new Piccolo form, he's just, like, slightly more yellow. He is slightly more yellow. That is the Piccolo form. It's literally like a shiny Pokemon. Hang on, let me show you. It's
Oh, thanks for the for chat. Don Goku solos both verses.
I told him as long as it's Super Saiyan 4 Goku, then I don't care. The best one. Look at this. This is the new form. This is after however long it's been since Piccolo has gotten some form of upgrade. And all they did is make him slightly more yellow. He's not even gold. He's like the color of mustard.
I mean, just the plot for the movie doesn't sound great either. With like Red Ribbon Army randomly coming back, that was already like that was done in GT, like, and it was actually pretty dope.
Oh, they're gonna bring Cell back, and then Cell's gonna be a joke like Frieza.
Oh, like Baby is such a great villain, and like Dr. Mew with working with Dr. Gero was so sick, and, like feeling all the energy of hell to make Super 17, Hellfighter 17.
Yeah, that was neat. Like, they should do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
I need more neat stuff like that.
It's made way more sense.
I mean, it's like, what is it? Yeah, Blue is just like, why? Like, it's like they ran out of ideas, but it's like you have all these ideas directly in front of you. Like, please just do something.
I think people remember how boring GT is until Baby shows up. I mean, it's not as good, but like, also it's like a dub thing. The dub makes the anime way worse than the sub. If you watch the beginning of GT dubbed, it makes a huge difference. Like, they change a lot. The story's a lot worse. And they couldn't even get the year of the time skip right in GT in the dub.
I mean, they had so many more neat ideas, like Omega Shenron. I mean, look at the amount of effort that went into like how the concept behind Omega Shenron, and how it full circles like the whole series. And then you have what? You have Jiren, whose backstory is like he was not a team player. Like, why?
I know, right? Like, I still wouldn't be surprised if they take the Omega Shenron type idea and that's what they end Super.
I'd be hyped for that.
That idea is just so, like, well thought out. Like,
yeah.
the wishes are correlated to the negative energy that was wished prior. And
it just makes sense.
It's just a great ending. Like, Dragon Balls can be used for a period of time. Like, the villain was the entire creation of like all the heroes trying to like save everything. Like,
yeah, all their gags have come back for them. Everything is just gonna come.
Better than everything in GT. I disagree.
Over Baby and Super 17.
No, Baby might be. Baby's probably my favorite villain in all Dragon Ball.
Like baby feels like a really weird villain that should be in Super. Like if you described him, I think that he'd be like Goku Black. Like he's just one of those weird concepts they just kind of throw in there, and then like despite everything else, it just works. Like the whole concept for Baby was just weird. Like he's taking over bodies and stuff. He takes over Vegeta, and it just worked well. And like the Golden Great Ape, Super Saiyan 4, like it was cool. Versus like Beerus is like he's just a cat that likes to nap.
It's actually important to the like history of the series too, like with the Sephorians and the Saiyans
Man,
and two doctors really just steal all the energy of Hell and put it into Android Hellfighter 17. Then two Android 17s fusing together.
yeah, like that was just should have kept that. They should have just kept rolling with it. I'm hoping they just keep like. Are you caught up with the manga at all? Are you reading those stuff with Gas and Granola and whatever?
I stopped. Like I started making Dragon Ball videos again like a while ago, and then I got COVID, and then I stopped.
Man, like this arc is weird. This I just like.
I saw that Bardock is back, and he like apparently like wished like Goku had good luck or something like that.
Yeah, like he would protect him like throughout his childhood, and people are mad. People are pretty pissed off.
That sounds super lame.
It is. Well, Bardock's not back. It's just like they had a bunch of flashbacks with him. And it's like, yeah, like why? You don't need a million. Leave Bardock how he was. And they kind of changed him. Like he's way more chill and kind of calm now. I like how he was like this brute. He was way more badass when he was just this monster, pretty much. Like borderline, like he should have been the main character at least at some points. And then worked into Goku. Like, Bardock was badass. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna watch this movie. Still finding Spanish. I know it's on one of these volume extras. I'm taking a while, but I'm gonna find it. I just remember what year, what year was Tartaros in the anime.
Wish didn't make anything really. He wished the same for Raditz, and the guy is dead for 30 years.
I mean, he's putting Raditz down, but it was like it was supposed to be with their childhood, so it's like everything it's all of his Kid Goku stuff.
Oh, Raditz is already a grown man.
Yeah, Raditz was an adult. He had double Sundays and all. It's the worst attack name. I remember like when I first started getting into Dragon Ball and I was playing the games and like before I met Raditz, I got to see his abilities and I'm like, what are these names? Like, why is this all after ice cream?
His names are silly.
Are they like that? I haven't read. Are they different than like the original Japanese one? I know some of the attacks have like really different names. Is it still Double Sunday or is it like Macaroon Cannon?
You're talking about like attacks in the manga?
Or like Double Sundays? It's just as goofy in the manga.
Oh, I don't even remember if he names his attacks in the manga. A long time since I read the first volume, but I got it.
You know, did they not name him in the manga?
I don't remember.
That'll actually make me more surprised because then it's like there was there no attack? I was thinking like maybe there was no attack name and then they decided let's just call him Double Sundays.
I'm just gonna look it up on Wikipedia. A lot of different characters have used it, according to the Dragon Ball wiki. Even Broly, but it's probably like game shit.
Broly used Double Sunday?
Yeah.
What? That sounds... Man, Double Sunday is so cool.
Chapter 6 of Dragon Ball. Apparently he used it Chapter 6 of Dragon Ball Z uses Double Sunday. Goku is the strongest monkey in fiction. Nah, Sun Wukong is stronger.
Yeah, so Wukong just does he does those vague description feats that if you read it through the original one, it's like, yeah, it sounds cool, but it's what he jumps from what was it, the one it's he jumps from God's hands or whatever, but it's his hands are, if you actually know in context, that's the other edge of the universe. He just hops over it's nothing.
Yeah, he does, I can't remember. And then also, depending on the translation, he fights either 100,000 gods at once or 600,000 pantheons at once, and he bops them.
They just do a lot. Wukong is too strong.
Yep, and it's funny because Goku's literally inspired by him. What was it? The translation from China to Japan for Sun Wukong is Sun Goku.
I forget about all the time. I always wonder why it's two. He has two names. I always forget it's just a different translation every time.
Yeah.
They're gonna get at some point.
Well, I believe in Naruto, they say one of the tail beasts is called Son Goku, right?
Yeah.
People in the West were getting mad and saying it was copying Goku, even though I'm pretty sure it was just taken from actual Son Wukong.
As if it couldn't have literally just been Kishimoto was I'm gonna have a Dragon Ball reference in there. Literally it could have just been that, and it's just everybody else would have been cool. And then it's just these angry Naruto stans or angry Dragon Ball stans. It's these guys reference each other all the time. Just let them do their thing. Here, is there anything else that you want to jump to while I look for this? Because it's gonna take me a minute. I'm looking for it. I know it's in one of the volume extras. Yes. Irene. I mean, just from Irene, 1% is more than enough to take out a multi-continental person, and this is human Irene, 1%, and the dragon boost by itself is going to be hundreds of times more.
Okay, so it's basically just 1% is continental times by 100, then times by 100. So basically, what you can multiply by.
Well, she should.
That'd be 3,000. She
should realistically right now be Dark Dragon Slayer Knight, around the Dark Dragon Slayer Knight people, which is large planetary, from human Selene, who casually was affecting 2 different large planets at the same time. And I can post that feat too. Alright, let me pull up this one. Here's how the moon looked beforehand. I'll have the first one. Actually, I'll just post them at the same time. Yeah. Easier than Exhibit A.
I pretty much agree that I was already agree that Irene had a higher AP than Clover, anyways.
She's got the magical defense too. That's gonna be.
I disagree, but I have Clover characters at multi.
I do, but I came prepared with the fact that the 1% absurd statement is just this is a fraction of a fraction, and she's able to do this. Okay, Mishima just has a crush on her and just likes to do stuff with her. I swear.
I guess if let's just keep talking about it instead of being silent. Look it up. But she has resistance to magic, and because she has Dragon Slayer, or is that's just in her dragon form?
That is, yeah, this as a dragon. Once she turns into, well, so her body is a dragon. Her human form is a fake. It is essentially it's Grey's transformation. It's not even a really good transformation because she's still she can't eat things the same. She can't taste or sleep properly. She's just a dragon now. So she is pretty much immune to magic for the most part. But it is dramatically increased in her dragon form. Her human form is just a weaker version she chooses to take. Okay.
Is she always a dragon?
No, she starts out in her human form.
She was I remember the country. There was the country that.
Well, she's a human. Yeah, because
she got taught dragons. Or she got
No,
taught
she invented dragon slaying magic. Yes.
Okay,
And like the more you use dragon slaying magic and the stronger you become, the faster the process becomes of you becoming a dragon. Knocking stuff over. Just trying to plug shit in. There we go.
So there any descriptors of what Dragon Slayer magic is?
For what do you mean?
Like how it's different from regular magic?
Yeah, one second. Let me show. I guess.
Besides being able to actually damage dragons.
Yeah. So let me real quick. I'll use I just use a direct example like the. I'll give you context. You probably remember it, and then I'll just show it. When Face was going off, and everybody's magic was being completely erased, but it didn't affect. It doesn't affect natural dragons, but it does affect Dragon Slayer wizards because dragons have innately their own dragon abilities. They can use magic, but they don't need magic. Whereas Dragon Slayers are achieving dragon abilities through magic. The dragons have their own kind of base thing because the dragon attribute is it's a different power source like curses or spiritual arts. And that's why like even when Face was going off, they could still use dragon based abilities. And we have stuff like the Dorna Anum in Daedalus. It was immune to magic. It was made out of magic canceling metal. But Dragon Slayer magic could affect it because of that additional power source that is on top of the magic itself. And I can get that one too. That's why Dragon Slayers are not entirely human. Yeah, it's just like they're once you start using Dragon Slayer magic, you are in the process of that in between of being a dragon and being a human.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the feat with the direct statement, and then I will pull up the whole bit about the whole description. There it is. So here's a direct showing. Even says it doesn't work on him from his own attack, so it's from the same thing, the same level that it's outputting. Is not able to affect it at all. The description of the fact that it is coded in a magic canceling, magic nullification thing that completely breaks it, and then we have a display of it's not doing entirely, but it is able to damage it. And then later just outright overtake it entirely. Yeah, it just doesn't affect them. It's because like their scales and and like pretty much their whole bodies are just resistant to magic in general. And then you have stuff like face going off erases all the magic on the continent. And then the natural born dragons are completely fine. Because getting rid of their magic doesn't take away their primary thing. It's an additional thing they have. Kind of like how the Aetherius can use magic, but they primarily use curses. Oh, Quan's filling up the chat. The Quan Credible. We talked about you at the start as the 4-night celebrity. I'm waiting on that Pelagard. You'll really like Pelagard when you get caught up.
Yeah.
He's like
Who is like a knight that's looking over Percival?
he wants to. He's trying really hard to. He really wants to teach Percival. He really wants to mentor him, but like Percival just runs away from him and stuff and has to fight him because he's an enemy. But he's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back. I'm gonna reread all of Zenily Sins and then caught up in 4 nights, and then do the same for Fairy Tail. Read all Fairy Tail, then get caught up on 100 Years Quest.
I was thinking of rereading 7 Deadly Sins soon too, and then I can outdo Quan. Run him out of town. That's the plan. Getting Quan out of here.
So, for the dragons, or I guess all around durability.
Yeah.
How does magic affect it that isn't just like damage based magic?
It just doesn't affect them like it's nulled on their scales and stuff.
So nothing at all.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like damage magic, like nothing.
Yeah, it's just nulled. Like no like that's why they had to invent dragon slaying magic. There's nothing they did. That was like back when they had like lost magic was regular, when you had like everything was at its most broken.
So is there examples of like non damage based magic not working against them?
No. The only time that we've ever seen dragons be affected by magic is when dragon slaying magic or the dragon attribute is involved. Like you have to have like the power of a dragon to kind of get past that innate ability they have.
Well, isn't like the whole point of their being resistant to magic in their dragon scales?
Yeah, it's part of it. There's like an aspect of their bodies in general too, because then we have stuff like, it's like a general term, but it's like you have stuff like Atlas Flame is literally made of fire, and like Grandine has feathers. And you have like what Alderaan is made of wood. It's just like the general thing that goes with it. And now we have the fact that apparently they can regrow organs at will.
So there's no evidence that their defenses will protect them from damage based magic.
Well, no, magic in general. Because like this was back when, like I said, lost magic was like normal. So even magic that would be non-aggressively based, it's just like a direct hack. So you can have something like a Mogulti Sense. You can have something like Arc of Time. You have something like what is it, like I can't remember which hour or whatever Kane Hikaru's voodoo doll is called, that is directly just a status effect ability. Like magic in general, like it doesn't matter if it's offensively based.
Is there like statements for that?
Well, no, it's just like that's when they invented dragon slaying magic. But it's like any magic at that point in the verse, like pre-existing or later, that unless otherwise shown is going to be nulled. Because otherwise, like, why wouldn't you just go and get some form of hacks, mind control magic or something? We have that. You have that in the verse. No, I mean, it was just like dark magic. It's just it's harder to get than lost magic, or sorry, lost magic is harder to get than dark magic. But like at that point, like lost magic was regular when Irene before Irene invented dragon slaying magic. Because dragon slaying magic is a lost magic.
Well, if there's no evidence besides just what you're saying.
I mean, it's consistent, but it's like one of those things where, like, if it wasn't the case, then how has nobody in the verse done this ever?
I mean, that's not really much of an argument, though.
I mean, if you explored, I mean, look at Zeref. Zeref is a master of magic. He had August. Actually, August is a better case. August knew every magic on the planet, and he knew that he couldn't do anything to Acnologia whatsoever.
Yeah, well, isn't Acnologia the strongest dragon?
Yeah, but he has the whole thing that he's also immune to magic.
Yeah, but like if his magic scales to him and he scales drastically weaker than Acnologia.
But it, I mean, you had something like what? Like, I mean, like at that point, Xerath with Fairy Heart would be able to do it, but Xerath, even with infinite magic, at scaled to an infinite amount to his power, transcending time, it still didn't do anything to him because they're just innately immune to magic.
And he used like non-Mado types of magic on him.
Yes, I mean it's in general. Xerath already knows them. Like Xerath, August, Irene. I mean, Irene's magic in general as well is not a directly offensive magic. Like, enchanting magic in its core is not an offensive magic. You are putting magic into things or removing magic from things. They've had magic like that already, where it's not a direct offensive thing. But it's like, if you have dragons, I mean, like Acnologia's whole thing was he wanted to go and kill all the dragons, and he needed something to do it, so he went and learned Dragon Slaying magic, because nothing else works. That's also why Belserion went and learned Dragon Slaying magic, so he can go after the dragon gods. And it's also why Diablos was made. Like, it's in context of the story multiple times over.
Have they shown resistance to like physical attacks?
Yeah, dragon. Yes. Well, no, they have their innate dragon bodies, but the dragon's physical strength and durability is stronger than their magical abilities and magic resistance.
Yeah, but I mean, if a physical attack was stronger than the defense, it would hurt them.
I mean, yeah, if you could break through the dragon scales.
I would just argue that Asta's Infinity Slash would damage Irene.
What feats does he have that would imply that he could hurt somebody that much more powerful than him?
Well, the fact that it's a anti-magic version of Dimension Slash.
I mean, it cuts somebody. It's not like it goes through their body like an internal thing. It's just it doesn't cut the people that he doesn't want it to cut. But if the cut isn't strong enough to cut something, it's not going to cut something.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's just an anti-magic version of Dimension. So Dimension Slash is like a type of durability negation. He's using Yami's exact sword, and the sword was put in the grimoire, and he can use the.
Well, that doesn't mean it doesn't. There was nothing about it. There's nothing about that attack that said it ignores durability. Like Yami ignores durability because it's how cutting through space works as the spatial magic. But Asta isn't cutting space. Asta's just choosing what the slash hits and what it doesn't hit. It doesn't just bypass. I'm gonna need a panel that says it bypasses durability.
I'm not saying that like it says that in the series, but it's just a form of the durability negation because it's like kind of like a spatial hacks.
When has he cut space with it though? He hasn't done anything cutting space.
Well, Yami cut space with the.
But that's how dark magic works though. That's like the whole plot of how dark magic like connects to like the underworld and how dark magic cuts space. Also, thank you Phil Swift for the $2. Natsu would beat Roxas right now.
Basically, he's doing a Dimension Slash power with anti-magic.
I need to see a statement that it bypasses durability or cuts space or does anything like the same thing, because Yami's not. It's not the sword doing that. It's like how dark magic works and the dark magic spell interacts with it. I don't agree that that's a Yami sword thing.
He needs the sword to use it.
But that's because it's a sword attack. If I bet he can do it with his new sword. It's not his. It's not like he can do it with just a sword. It's not like it needs to be that specific sword.
I'll get some panels that evidence to it.
Yeah, I need to see like where does it say that Asta is doing that, where he's like cutting through space or like he's affecting the space, or that it negs durability. Because at that point, it's like all he would have had to do is tap Lucifara with it, and it would have been done. But like Lucifara was like catching his swords and stuff though. Where is it implied that it like negates durability though? Is what I want to know. What chapter? That was like what, like 318 or some shit.
No, I was saying that dimension slash because what it is, it's kind of like a form of durability negation. That's way stronger, like a hack that's way above Yami's conventional attack potency. That's base.
But that's just how dark magic works, though. Is like the thing. That's like a mechanic specifically to dark magic. I just don't like. I've never seen any implication that Asta negs durability with this attack. Like the worm wasn't like the wormless wasn't even that strong. He was getting pushed back by the black bull base. And it was just like, it's just a big mass of like devil flesh. It's kind of too crazy. You think Grand Ganji will ever be relevant? I mean, they're probably going to get a fight soon, I would hope. Oh, is Broku turned down? I'll turn it up a little. Quan, thank you. I turned it up. Thank you, Quan. You're a good man and a scholar. Oh, Quan, you gave super chat? I'm sorry, Quan. I didn't see it. I'll scroll up. Turn up Broku? I did. Thank you, Quan. I appreciate the $2. Usually, I probably have alerts turned off. Let me see if my alert is turned off in, that's probably why. Or donation, is that the one? I'll just put it up here, see if the super chat one goes up. I appreciate your kind efforts, Quan Credible. You are a gentleman. There's like super chat alert. I wanted to say like, congratulations, somebody gave you $2 for being mildly entertaining. And I'll say thank you. Widgets. I'll figure it out at some point. I'll just pay attention to the chat. Oh, he would message me. He's probably saying like, turn Broku up. I've turned him up, Quan. I appreciate it. Quan, do you want to join in? I don't know what you're up to.
Probably dropping multiple panels. This is, I still have to collect more, but this is one where when he first uses it, I mean, he doesn't actually do the named version of the spell because we just see it when he's training with Noct. The same thing. He has the same technique as Yami does when Yami does Dimension Slash, and we see that does the same exact like effect, and it even cuts through like the physical objects and erase like the space behind it, like in the chandelier type thing up top.
Well, we know that he's been able to cut stuff with anti-magic.
Oh no, I know that, but like that adds credence to it even more. I'll get some more panels.
I get that it's based off of the attack. It's an homage. I just don't see where the whole durability negation shows up with it. I mean, I can see like to a degree with Black Clover by how Monoskin works, but that's not how Monoskin isn't a thing in Fairy Tail. Theirs is all internal. Rimuru one-shots? I don't really care about the slime anime. I'm not a huge fan when stuff gets like too meta powerful. It just seems kind of boring. It's really weird. Irene can't affect, Asta can't affect Irene with anti-magic. I mean, it's not going to do anything. Like, the Dragon Slayers have had all the magic in their body taken out, and they're still in their dragon form. The dragon form is permanently to their genetics. Like, their body is permanently altered. I'm gonna remember how this works at some point. I was not ignoring you, Quan. Show all characters finished. I mean, he's got his wrap up stuff. Like we gotta see him be happy, pretty much. Medica Box. Medica Box is like a gag series, though. A gag series can be as powerful as they want because they're gag series. Too meta. Has he not read Fairy Tail? I mean, Fairy Tail. You don't know what I mean, though. Like, have you looked at that? There's a bad guy from Justice League Dark, and he can collapse the panels people are in, and it's just like, how do you beat that? How do you beat that without just like crazy more meta stuff? Like, imagine Asta was fighting somebody, and he's like, you know what, Tabata doesn't have any more ink today, and then like the next page is blank. It's just like, how do you beat that? There's some Bugs Bunny moves.
Alright, so I dropped some panels in. We have that Asta is using Yami's sword, and it's basically, I don't know what the even word would be for it. I guess ruined it, and he's made it like his anti-magic sword. Uses it in the same exact form that Yami does for Dimension Slash. It has like basically the same name as Dimension Slash. It works exactly like the way we see it, where he launches it and how like the actual movement of the anti-magic blade works. And then when we actually see Lucifero, there is the giant space missing between him, and there is Yami and William in the middle of it.
Maybe you want to cut him. I agree. Like where like the origins are. I just don't see where durability negation comes into it. Like there's nothing.
Like an anti-magic version of Dimension Slash.
But Dimension Slash is like from dark magic. The sword is just a conduit. Like the thing is like the sword is doing the shape of the technique, but the effects are different from the characters. Yami's cut space. Asta's is anti-magic that doesn't cut his allies.
Effects are shown to be just the same, and we know that magic abilities and Asta's abilities, like Noelle can make Valkyrie armor from her mother, like her mother had it.
But that's genetic.
Very
that's
different
not
magic
like
type.
that's like something in like that we've seen in Black Clover, where like people with the same bloodline will have similar magics, whereas like this is just a sword that he put anti-magic into. But like the consistency is like the sword's output attack, but not the effect of the attack. There's nothing really to go off for durability negation is the thing.
We also know that like magic is like also learned too.
It's what?
So it's learned, and if he's using the same exact sword, the same exact technique, it's named essentially the same, does the same exact same thing, and it cuts.
But those are all way different.
Look at the chandelier.
Yeah, I'll let you go. I was gonna say like. When a person gets their spell in Black Clover, the spell is written in their grimoire versus like Asta's like what he's like naming his. He's the one that's picking the names of his attacks. Like this was just something completely new to his whole grimoire, like until recently. Like he just got it.
What do you mean?
I mean, like if you got a spell in Black Clover, like the spell name, like you're gonna know. The spell, like, once the spell comes up, the spell name is in your book, and you know what it is. Like, they don't name their spells, do they? Is that something that Tabata has said? Isn't it like the spell just forms and you know what it's called?
I think that might be it. I know it's explained more, or not explained, but like kind of highlighted more in the anime than the manga. I'd say they probably just know when their spell gets made, because like their grimoires are tied to their souls, so they probably have some sort of like just knowing it. But...
Yeah, but Asta's naming his attacks. Like his don't appear the same way. His are things that he names himself.
Well, I don't know how that would make it any different.
Because Asta can call it whatever he wants, but it's like there's no translation of the power. Because it's like
actually launch their spell out.
Even if the sword gains some form of weird trait from his magic, the anti-magic taking over it would just completely nullify that whole trait. It'd be gone.
Why would that be the case?
Because if the anti-magic takes over, why would the anti-magic not nullify the magic that is within the item? Like you can't have anti-magic magic.
I mean, that's not what happens with the other swords, though. Like,
well, we don't know how the other swords. We don't know anything about the swords before they got anti-magicked.
I mean, but we know that their abilities are still there.
They seem completely different. When we saw Licht, when he touched the demon destroyer, like it had like a whole extra like set. Like he could just absorb abilities, or was it the demon dweller too? Like he could just absorb, shoot stuff back out as beams. Like the second he touched the magic with it, it just flowed into his sword like it was a magnet. Asta's doesn't do it to that same degree.
Yeah, it's because Licht is like was a sword mage sword mage his entire life, and Asta trained physically his entire life, so he's not as proficient with using the actual swords.
Actually,
they still work very similar.
We don't know anything of where the swords came from because they're not like magic constructed swords. They're physically made, so they had to have things built into it by somebody, and we just don't know the context behind them yet.
Well, yeah, but like, I don't know how that would like negate that point.
Well, I mean, like, if you had magic, or a sword with magic in it, and then anti-magic came in and took over, why wouldn't it nullify all the magic inside?
I mean, but the thing is, like, the actual, like, abilities of the demon swords are not negated by the anti-magic itself.
But we don't know exactly, like, we don't know, like, really anything about the swords outside of their anti-magic existence. Like, we don't know where they came from. We don't know how they were made. We don't know exactly who made them. How do they have these abilities? How can they have anti-magic in them?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you took like the sword that Yami just got, his Yggdrasil sword, gave it to Asta. Logically, if Asta put magic in, anti-magic in it, it would just disappear because it's made of magic.
Yeah, that's likely that would happen. Yeah, because it is made from the world tree magic. But it definitely seems like the Asta swords were physical, and however they were designed, they can work with energy systems, like
We just
work with
puts it in
magic
it.
and anti-magic. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ki was used, if it would also, if like you could channel Ki into it, because Ki is life energy. Like,
Well, I mean, we could easily
like
have the swords are like another power system, like something new in the verse we don't know about. That's why I think the swords are a weird thing, because like outside of, we don't know anything about pretty much the original swords, like the lore whatsoever. Like, why are they called demon something swords? Like, there has to be something there.
yeah.
I need like a video on each of them ASAP. Do before Jay does it, quick.
Like, what I'm saying is that if the dragons are completely impervious to magic, Dimension Slash, or if the dragons were not completely impervious to magic, Dimension Slash would damage Irene in a dragon form if she didn't have the.
Well, yeah, that's like, if you took that out, because that's like, I mean, I imagine at that point, like, it would.
Asta is doing Dimension Slash with anti-magic, thus it would actually affect her.
But I don't agree that Asta is nulling durability or like doing the same thing, because like the reason Yami's doing is he's cutting space because of how dark magic works, not because the sword. Asta's not cutting space. Asta's just sending out like a big black slash that he picks who it damages. I just don't think there's anything to say that it negs durability.
Dark magic also doesn't really have like connections to space inherently. Like,
but it's how it. I mean, but like the whole thing is it can cut through space. That's like part of the reason. I mean, it's primarily like Kuwabara based. Kuwabara
we also
cutting
didn't
space
know like
and
how
stuff.
like energy and like magic works in Black. How the power system works is like you can gain spells for like essentially it was like innate talent, your need, and your hard work. Because Yami needed to cut through dimension, he got Dimension Slash. He cut space.
But Asta isn't part of that system. He's not part of that whole magic system.
He kind of is. He has a 5-leaf Clover Grimoire.
But
He
it's
is affected by luck.
But anti-magic is like is this completely separate thing. Like it doesn't have all the same criteria and the same fundamentals as magic
it's
for the most
similar
part.
enough. And if he's taking Yami, so we're doing the exact same form, technique, shown to be doing the same thing.
I mean, the sword technique, like the sword technique is just the stance by how he does the slash. But it's not like the ability comes from that. That's just how his sword stance is. Like the whole spatial cutting is because of how dark magic works in Black Clover and how it connects to the underworld and stuff. It's not from the sword or even the sword stance. It's specifically how dark magic works in the verse.
Dark magic is like it's not the actual spatial part of like the Tree of Cliff-Off is not dark magic. It's the world tree magic.
No, but it connects to it. Like it's the whole world tree and dark magic.
The whole
but
spatial part is world tree magic. Like the space part, it's not like Yami uses dark magic, but I don't see that like that's the correlation. Is
that's just like an extension of something it can do. Like it's a dark spell that gets the point that it is achieved, cutting space. Kind of like how Dante can teleport by warping space with gravity, even though he's not a spatial mage.
Yeah, but like that's also what gravity does. Like,
I mean,
like
dark magic's a little weird.
Manipulate space.
I mean, dark magic's a little weird because it's like it's not shadow. It's like an extra thing that is used in here. But I mean, part of it is like how it connects to the underworld. Like we even know that dark magic is like Yami got stronger connected to the underworld. So like we don't know exactly the full context of why it can do that. if it originates from the underworld, is he able to do that because of that? It comes from the underworld. It's not a. I'm saying it's not a sword thing. It's a Yami thing. Or it's not even a Yami thing. It's a dark magic thing. So just like there's nothing really to go off of that Asta can negate their ability based off of just like swinging it.
Ability, not,
I mean,
like,
yeah, but it's a spell in dark magic though.
Yeah, but you can use other magic types to use same spells, so even if they're using different magic types.
I mean, yeah, because some of them they just have like ways to branch into another part of the system, but it doesn't change the fact that like you're doing that through a specific thing in that specific branch of magic.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is like if you can have two people with two different magic types do the same exact spell, and yes, anti-magic isn't magic, but it is a form of energy that does work similarly in terms of it can power up people. It can be used with the swords, like how Licht can use magic with the swords. And then you have Yami Asta taking Yami's sword, putting it into a sword magic grimoire, and like all the other things, like I said, using the same exact form, same spell name, and it does essentially the same thing.
Well, no, because it doesn't cut space. Like the whole durability negation is because it cuts space.
I know, but like the panels.
Oh, hold on a second. I got a phone call. I'll be right back.
You're good. You're good.
Never mind. I think it was spam.
Oh shit.
Like it was just a bot. I'm not too sure. I'll try again later. And I was saying but him just being in a similar sword stance does not equate to having the same abilities as to what the other Slash did.
Yeah, but that's like misconstruing what I said, because like that the sword stance is just part of the argument. Like it's everything pulled together is what makes the argument.
But it's just like it's a homage. Like it's not like he's using the same ability. Even in context to what like he explains the ability is it's not negating durability, it's not cutting space. It's just like it's a sword that picks the thing it cuts. And it's just like it's got some super cutting ability like dark magic, but it's Asta's own version of it in its own direction. I just don't think there's like no real evidence to support that it negates durability.
I mean, it's not directly proven, but I think that there's a preponderance of evidence for it.
I think there's a potential theory, but there's nothing really to go off of concrete or anything to really use other than very rough speculation.
I wouldn't consider it rough speculation. I think if it was just him using the slasher katana and just him like using the same like technique, but when you add everything else, that with the spell even working, just because it doesn't say it doesn't cut space doesn't mean that it's not.
I mean, you could say like what it cuts time and gravity and the panel or two, but it's like just because it doesn't say it doesn't mean it doesn't.
But it's the difference there though is that like I'm not saying it's cutting time or gravity, whatever you just said, because it's taking this technique from essentially his captain, which could cut space. And that's
he's just copying the form of it and the style of it. He's not copying the effect of it. Even in context to like when Yami's using it versus when Asta needs to use it, the context versus getting it was he needed to cut out of like a spatially warped area versus Asta needed to cut something without hurting his allies. So even in the context, it doesn't really support what Asta doing the same thing, like negating durability the same way Yami was cleaving through space. And we don't even see actually I was gonna say the effect, but I think that visual effect though, I think that was just the anime. Pretty sure it was
an extension of the ability if they don't want to cut their allies.
I mean, but why would Asta not say anything to any degree explaining this part of its ability if it was relevant? The only thing he says is it doesn't cut his allies.
Like everything for an ability.
But if it's something that's like very specific, like a claim like that, like there needs to be something to go off of, or at least like a pre-existing vague thing. But the thing is it'd
be different if we didn't know what Yami's spell does.
The thing is like Asta's completely different. Like Asta getting the sword, a plain sword, not like a special magic sword, and putting anti-magic. It doesn't mean it gains all the abilities of like something like specifically Dimension Slash or Equinox, when we know like he was doing that because of how cleaving space is cutting a dimension is something dark magic can do, not something the sword does.
I mean, it's basically not that necessarily that dark magic does it. It's his spell that he uses with the sword.
I know, but
Like,
it's a product of dark magic.
Yeah, but dark magic isn't like inherently a spatial thing.
But like but even like in context of the plot, it's like he needed dark magic, like to connect with world tree magic. Like it's something that affects space and something that connects worlds in the lore,
which is like the dark realm. World tree magic is the like that's the one that's actually connecting things, because we know that William's world tree is essentially the Yggdrasil, and Yggdrasil is essentially that's what it is in like Norse mythology. It connects all of the realms. So it's not that dark magic is connecting everything. It's the world tree. But like I think Dante even said, it's like, I can't remember how he explained it, but he said that. So basically, that's what William is the one that's connecting the realms. He's the one that's connecting everything, and dark magic is part of him connecting the world. But it's not that the dark magic is the spatial part.
But that's still a byproduct of dark magic and not the sword. The sword is just a conduit he needs because it's a sword attack. I just don't see any. I just don't see anything that really like that gives towards the evidence that Asta's ability negs. Like, there's nothing to say it negs durability. Like, he has no feats for it. There's no implications. It's just he has a similar sword swing with a completely different power. It's not even just a different type of magic. Like, it's a completely different power system than what Yami's using. And in context, he's able to cleave. He's able to cleave like through dimensions because of how the spell works. Versus Asta's is that he's able to pick who he wants to cut because of how the sword works. There's nothing. There's like nothing in the chapter that would suggest durability negation.
I mean, I've already talked about what does suggest it. Like I said, it doesn't prove it. I believe there's a preponderance of evidence. And as for like you saying, yeah, it's a different energy system, but like anti-magic is superior to dark magic. And when paired with the swords, you do like insane things. That like you're tying like the spatial part to dark magic. When it's not necessarily connected, like it's just his ability that he's using. Dark magic isn't inherently like a spatial, like cutting through space.
Which is something that it can do.
Anti-magic can do crazy things. Like it can be used to power and create, basically take spells of like the sword users that like had been used by you wielded the swords in the past, like the causality, or I can't remember if it was causality break or fate release, depending on the translation. Asta can do that with anti-magic.
But isn't that has there been anything that said that it came from Licht and not it came from the swords?
I mean, I believe it's, I can't remember how it's exactly worded. Like either way, Dami needs the sword to do Dimension Slash.
I mean, he just needs a sword.
Yeah, he needs a sword to do Dimension Slash.
I don't think that sword specifically is the important thing. I think it's just a sword.
That's what I meant. He needs a sword.
But I just don't see like it's not a specific sword thing. It is just like what happens when he outputs that specific style. But Asa's just Asa's imitating him. It's like a homage. I don't think it's like he's gained the full effects of the ability. Like if we saw something like he cut through a dimension, like while Xenon was running away or something, I would agree with you. But I just don't see anything that really suggests it or like anything to really go off of. It's more of just like there are similarities to Yami's, but I think that's more done an homage to Asta in his mentor rather than he's gaining the abilities of it.
Let's see if I can find the chapter for clarification on what was exactly said. It doesn't really matter too much what I'm saying, but
Oh, Jalal versus Gray. Jalal clap Gray. Ball's too strong. How many swords just a regular sword part after taking it? I mean, that wasn't even his, that was like, what, his second or third sword of that one, the Black Bull sword? Because, what is it, Veto chewed off one, took a chunk out of it. Can I show you the panels? I mean, it's in Discord, I can pull up, I was just reading some of the chat.
Oh, okay.
Let me pull up Discord. Let me see real quick. I want to make it so it's like right when I click on a picture, you guys would be able to see it. One sec, chat. Just give me a couple more seconds. There you go. That seems good.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which chapter that was. I think it was like one of the explanations was bush fight.
Yami versus Laxus. Laxus just drops a lightning nuke on him like immediately. Like that's like an opening move for Laxus, is just nuke the whole area with lightning. And now if you damage him, he will get stronger. I haven't seen what Aldramak is capable of. I've got a lot of stock in Aldramak. I'm actually really hyped for him. Like he did exactly what I was waiting for. I was like, I just want one of these devils to leave. You got out. You're not obligated to stay here. Take your win and leave. And he's just like, yep, I'm good. I got what I wanted. I'm going home. He's just going to be napping the rest of the series. Agdos is killing high ranked and even damaged Supreme Devils who are greater than definitely will damage Irene. Irene, I don't know if you want to debate any of the Devils versus Irene.
Talking to me or the chat?
I was talking to the chat, like Irene can take magic out of bodies and make it so you can't use magic more. Fiore's like the size of Russia. Dude, Fiore's huge.
Isn't Fiore continent sized?
Yeah. Fiore's like from side to side, it's like 6,500 kilometers.
Is there like a thing on like how big the actual fairy tale world is? I'm assuming it could be bigger than Earth, right?
It's way bigger. Ishgar is like 5 times Earth's diameter or something.
Oh damn.
We've only seen we haven't seen all the continents. We've only got 4 named, and we've got at least like 1 or 2 unnamed. How strong do I put Supreme Devils? I'd put them in that kind of middle area, like where like Hades and Mardgear are. They're like between Wizard Saint and Spriggan. They're just kind of in that. They got their own extra little mini tier in between the two, just for the special people. Yeah, Adramalik. I'm actually more hyped for him than Lucius. I think he's kind of cooler. Lucius is neat, but it's like I think Adramalik. Maybe I'm just biased because he checked off my wish list. He did what I wanted Megicula to do.
Has he been called like a man or a woman yet?
Adramalik? I mean, he looks like a dude.
When I first saw him, I thought it was a girl, and I was calling a drum like a girl for the longest time.
Oh, I thought he's a dude this whole time. I don't know if we're gonna have 2 teenage, young girl like devils back to back.
Yeah. I don't think Megicula was ever straight up referred to as a woman either.
I assume we'll get at least a couple more big female devils. I mean, apparently Megicula's the top, so hopefully we get back to Megicula at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Top female. I feel like with that, though, it's like for sure, like that third version is only small because it was a third. I don't think that's what she's actually going to look like.
Oh, yeah. I think that didn't she come back in the final saga?
Oh, I'm going to be mad if she doesn't. Like, I'm going to be genuinely upset. But there's a couple things if Tabata doesn't do that I will be genuinely upset about, and that's one of them. I don't need to get my Wizard King Crypt Radies, but if I don't get Megicula back, I'm going to be mad. Destroying a meteor is not very impressive. I mean, it depends on the meteor, because like meteors are.
Depends on the meteor.
Is the meteor really big, or is it really fast, or is it both? Because if
They
you
have to be pretty big to be pretty impressive.
Well, it's like it's either because kinetic energy. You either have to be really big or really fast. Like you could have
really
a.
Fast too,
And Irene Senma is fast. Like it crossed planets. Like by the time it took Urza to lean up.
Because I think it was like the year that got the dinosaurs was like 20 kilometers, and that's like that was like actually.
I think it's bigger than that. Let me see. Maybe you're right though.
Yeah, it was like 20 kilometers, but it was like more than hypersonic speeds. Like way more than hypersonic.
10 kilometers.
10 kilometers.
It's big. Big boy. But it was probably just like what that like. I can't remember ablation speed when it starts to catch fire from the atmosphere. Whereas, like, you could have a meteor the size... What is that one? There was recently, like, that meteor that... Well, not recently, but it was years ago. That meteor was, like, the size of a fridge, but it was moving at, like, Mach 8, and its impact was, like, more than any nuke we've ever had or something in Russia. It's just, Yeah, meteors are crazy.
Was that the Tunguska event?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that one was small, but it was, like, way faster than the... Like, also, we were, like, I guess we were lucky, but, like, back then those people were lucky, because I think it blew up in front of the Earth. It didn't actually impact it. By the time it actually impacted it, had, like, gotten way smaller or something like that. That wasn't even, like, its full potential, like...
No, just that breakdown.
Impact. Yeah.
It says Dante created a black hole that was small star level. I mean, I could see the same thing for Blue Note.
Yeah.
I can see the same thing for Blue Note.
I don't really consider... scaling, like
I don't either.
For black holes.
Well, it's like
I did a video scaling it at one point, but I think in the video I even said like this is just like high-end stuff.
But it's like also let's say like a black hole that big it will do that because it would like suck in planets at that size still. So it's like if you're gonna treat these like real ones, like you think they would suck in the planet, but they don't. Yeah. It's just a hacks.
I couldn't find the droid thing, but yeah, that's pretty much it for like. It's just so similar to Yami's Dimension Slash with all of that. So I don't think that. I think we're probably going to agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, there's also the point of like he uses it so similarly to where like he has a regular and an Equinox version of it.
I mean, similar. I agree in homage. I just don't see the durability negging thing, at least off of current standing. We even got into like the fact Irene can like shapeshift people. She can just point at you and turn you into a mouse, or like enchants over like the whole country. Like she get like pretty much anybody fought her.
Downsize the country like 5% or something.
1/20th its size.
120. Oh damn, that's like.
Well, she did that. I wish I saved the panel. There was a panel that like during that arc where Mishima said if she like took her time, she could have done that to the whole continent. It's lost somewhere in time, and I'm never gonna find it. But I mean, like, if she can do it, she can like actually alter biomes and just completely change the environment at any point. But I mean, also stuff like Do Senma, she can like pull meteors from deep space and just drop them on you. And they're not magic; these are meteors. These are from the big space rocks.
Yeah, I still don't think that Apple would have a problem with destroying the meteors, at least, though.
I mean, there are people that could probably destroy it, but I mean, like, then you're going to have... It's a meteor, so you break it, all of those fractions are still going to shoot down and still cause mass casualties. And then stuff like...
Dorothy transported into her glamour world.
I don't know, Dorothy's dead. Not if she's dead.
Not if she's dead.
Not if she's dead.
Yeah.
Like, she can enchant her clothes to just explode.
I mean, if it gets to that point where, like, everybody... Well, how strong are the exploding clothes is the thing.
They're able to damage Urza, who's, like, well Spriggan level at that point. And she can also deteriorate physical weapons. So she can just, like, make things disintegrate.
Yeah.
I'll pull that one up, too. Is that 510? I think that's 510. Oh, it might be 509. Man, I want to chunk off. Hang on. No tell Quan. No tell Quan. There we go. 513. I was like 2 chapters off. So let me just put these in here. You start dissolving magic weapons that also have physical form, and then let me find her enchanting clothes. Oh, she can also I didn't mention it, she can use do 0 and cancel. She can completely null out any reinforcement magic. It's like any form of buff she can just 0 out. Oh, and when she enchanted Urz's clothing, that was in Wendy's body, so she's also way weaker. Upload, what are you doing? Here we go. Stomps. I mean, Yuno's gonna get eaten. Oh, you're talking about Yuno versus My Hero? Oh yeah, Yuno claps My Hero. I mean, they're just their best people are like Veto leveled people.
Somebody say that in the chat.
Oh, Big Ray. I want it to be known. This was somebody added me with a post from Broku's comments, and I brought this up to him as a joke. My mistake was not knowing he would just take it and say, "Okay, we're just gonna do it." I thought it'd be like, haha, and then that'd be it. And unfortunately, now we're here. I mean, like, what would My Hero possibly do against Yuno? You try to shoot him with guns?
No.
Gonna do
I haven't
nothing.
scanned My Hero in forever.
I mean, they just hit light speed.
They did.
Yeah, the Stars and Stripes. She caught a laser like mid-flight. Yeah, they got something.
Oh, that's surprising.
They got an upgrade. It took them a while. Thought demons can affect giants. Well, demons use curse power. They're not using magic, and magic and curse and fright are 2 different power systems. Versus Sting. Doesn't want hands. If he's, the thing is, like I was talking to Quan about that. If he locks him with White Claw, then like conjunction is pretty much useless. He can't move anymore. That is like beloved by Mana ? How does it work?
Did you ever find the thing?
Which one?
Like for the that Mashima worked on.
I'm looking. I think I'm just gonna try and find the one where he talked about it in the Eden Zero review, because I've been trying to find it, but it's like he talked to. I don't remember the Japanese dude's name.
I would still argue that Black Clover has a speed and numbers advantage.
I haven't seen any speed feats that do Galaxy Blade, but then it's just like also baseline scaling. Like 1% of Irene is more powerful than a Dragon Force boosted Spriggan tier character, and like 100% Irene, 100 plus times stronger than that. Plus the dragon boost is going to be hundreds of times beyond even that, and you have Blue Note level people casually blitzing light speed, like with no problem whatsoever, with a smile on his face. And Blue Note got foddered by base Natsu.
I mean, yeah, but like the thing is that like Lightspeed is like just baseline Lightspeed is also fodder in Black Clover.
I know, but it's like the gap between base Natsu now is to current is like Asta right now from the beginning. Like Natsu was low Spriggan tier or low Wizard Saint level at this point. This is tiers ago. He's now well above Spriggan tier, and he's like working his way into like Dragon God area now. And the Dragon God people are like threats to the whole planet, doing stuff across dimensions, yelling and shattering mountains and clearing out the sky for thousands of miles.
Yeah, but like, I mean, Lightspeed, even faster than light, was also tiers and tiers away for Asta.
The tier gap though, but like you don't have as many like base direct boosts. Like think of this,
Oh, yeah,
you have low Wizard Saint versus like, and then you have like all the way up to God Serena. People like Jura. Like Jura could still clap Grand Magic Games Natsu, no problem whatsoever. Jura, Hyperion, Wolfheim, and Warrid got no diffed by God Serena, like zero problem whatsoever. And Irene in base can fodder him. And then you have on top of that, you have the dragon boost is putting her tiers higher, like hundreds of times stronger than that. So like people like Guildarts, who already are like massively faster than light, are way slower than even base Irene.
I mean, that's all, like, Asta's like way massively faster than light in base too. That's just in base. Like, you have the third eye or Patri or Lightspeed, they got faster. And then you have Fauna getting way stronger and faster when she gets her Salamander bigger, and then Spirit Ladros is way stronger than Fauna, would be way faster too. Then Asta goes from getting blitzed by Spirit Ladros to essentially being way faster than Spirit Ladros. And then the next arc, and the Elf arc, Asta is even faster than his black form in base.
I agree he gets faster, but like the gap between
way, but like the gap is also massive.
The gap between like Cave Arc people to now is not even close to as big as like base Natsu to now.
I mean, I guess I don't know how you would quantify the difference.
Like people
how big do you think the difference is?
I mean, like people. I'm saying people at the cave. There are degrees of relevancy still there versus like Jura. People like that would clap base Natsu no problem. Could blitz him, like blitzed people at his level no problem. Are like no diffed fodder now.
What do you mean by like degrees of relevancy for like cave arc people? Like
if you put a cave arc person into now, they're not going to really do too much, but they aren't going to like they aren't so far behind that they're going to get beaten by relatively anybody with a name, and they're going to die from random crossfire.
I think that even like Patri the Third Eye from the cave would be absolute fodder at this point in the series.
I mean, Patri was still moving around with some like good like speeds, and like, wasn't he moving around under Lucifaro's gravity? And he was way weaker.
I mean, but that's like a post-elf Patri who also in the 6 months and has ultimate magic and is way stronger, so that it wouldn't really correlate to.
But that's a way like he lost his grimoire. He's like way weaker, and he said he can't even fight anymore. Like he's significantly weaker. All he can do is kind of move around.
His gravity only like further shows how much stronger he's gotten.
But he can't. He even said he can't really do anything in the fight. So it's like, how much stronger did he really get if he can't do anything other than like transport people? But it's like even then.
I just mean he can't use his like because he doesn't have his grimoire, doesn't have his strongest spells. That wouldn't mean that that makes so that Black Clover didn't get that much stronger. Like Magna in the tournament would body Patri from the cave.
I don't know if I agree with that statement. I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, not the tournament, but from the Elf Saga.
I still don't know if I agree with that. Like
he can damage Zufuru, who is
like throw some fireballs,
Asta,
sure.
That Asta who has already dwarfed his black form that could body Spirit Ladros. Spirit Ladros already dwarfing Patri. The Magna in the Elf arc would body Patri from the cave. That's like how big the difference is. I don't know about
that. Like he was like getting blitzed by like lightning attacks, like from lightning clouds. So it's like I don't know if he's gonna do well against light speed.
No, that is not a way to scale the speed because Wukong was fighting Asta And Ost at that point was easily reflecting light from Elf Riot, which would dwarf the light from Ace Pottery. The fact that Rufal's lightning, because if you're gonna go on that, I could just say that like Sting is like, what was it, like lightning level, the guy that you're using the lightning example.
Well, no,
like
they already had like that way earlier, like from multiple
but, like,
tiers
you
over.
can't say that because Rufal was using lightning that he's not light speed, because like Asta was already.
Well, but like
pairing the
lightning from a lightning cloud is gonna operate like normal lightning.
That's not necessarily the case.
I mean, he's using natural lightning. It will get dispensed by like how lightning is dispensed normally.
All Rufal did was just hit himself with the lightning to break himself out of.
Oh, that's true. Okay, I'll stick with that.
Yeah.
Forgot where this part of the argument was.
Yeah, like I would also agree. I mean, not agree. I'd also argue that like there's just so many tiers in power between Black Clover characters from like the cave arc to even the elf arc, let alone like to now. Like that's why I don't think I don't necessarily agree with like your feeling there with like cave arc characters would be relevant at all.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna do too much, but I mean, I don't think the gap is gonna be enough where like they're gonna get casually blitzed, one-shotted, killed before anything happens by like random stray characters where it's like anybody with a name now, it's just like you just get run over. Like people like, despite all of Urza's feats, somebody like Suzaku blitzed and one-shot her, like completely overtook her. Like people even then, like high up Spriggan level are not even anything now, and it's like look at the gap between what one Spriggan is able to do versus all the best Wizard Saints, and what the weakest Wizard Saint out of that was able to casually blitz and clap somebody who was fine in base dodging light speed. And then you get the people like Blue Note who could fight Guildarts, who was casually massively faster than light in a way weakened state, and he's fodder to Spriggan. Like there's way more giant gaps between tiers. Like there's like when you look at like a captain and a supreme devil, like they're stronger, but it's not at a point where it's beyond anything that they can handle even grouped, whereas like one Spriggan can clap. Like we've seen essentially anybody like well into a tier above can clap pretty much their whole previous tier. Like they could just run through them. Like if you took all the captain level people and put them against one supreme, like they're gonna win. Versus like you take all the wizard saint level people, put them against a Spriggan, and they get clapped. The power gap is just like each tier jump is massive. Like the gap between human form and dragon gods. Like Suzaku is weaker than Georg, who beat dragon or human form Celine, but dragon form Celine one shot somebody that was able to completely body her, like somebody stronger than her other form. Like it just the massive, like the jump between each tier is like to the point where like they can, if you are in a higher tier, you can pretty much solo the previous tier.
That's also pretty similar to Black Clover.
I mean, what Supreme Devil can like solo all the captains? Like everybody, not Lucifaro. I mean, it's like even now.
Like a previous arc.
I mean, like even now, like even like Wizard Saint level is still like, it's not like the captains who got stronger, so like captain level is raised. Like Wizard Saint is still at that level. The people that moved past that level went to the next tier, whereas like the general Wizard Saint people like Jose, Makarov, Jura, they're all still there. So like that tier is still there. So you're able to make more of a comparative jump between the tiers when you see, okay, how what is somebody at this higher tier able to do to literally the full previous tier? Whereas like all of the captains versus like the twins or like Megicula, even 1/3. Like, I don't see the Supreme winning against everybody at the same time.
I mean,
like everybody captain tier.
That's also, isn't that different? Because like each Supreme is a massive gap between the next Supreme Devil.
But I mean, like even like the lowest people, like God Serene was one of the weakest Spriggan, and he ran over pretty much the majority of the Wizard Saints, like rank 2, 3, 4, and Jura, like pretty much 2 through 5 really. And he did it. He did it without even using his magic. Like he's just using generic attacks. Like he didn't even use Dragon Slaying magic, his primary magic, until way late in the fight when they were kind of just running on fumes.
I don't see how that like would be much different from like Ace Vanica being like essentially above Zagreb.
I mean, Zagrid is a full tier different. He's a high rank. She's a supreme.
Vanica is actually, she was in her base form and was above him.
But wouldn't that just mean that like she's? But it still just mean that she's like a whole tier because even what is it? Nox said that they were stronger than he anticipated. So they're even higher than he initially said.
Yeah, like, well, so maybe I don't understand what you're trying to say because like I thought we were talking about how, like you were saying how like the gaps in between characters are massive.
Gaps in between the tiers.
Yeah, between the tiers, which is like essentially the same in Black Clover. The only difference is like the tiers are a bit more fluid.
I'm just saying I don't think the gaps between the tiers in Black Clover are nearly as big. Like there's not nearly as much of a expansive jump between the bottom of the tier and the top of the tier, or like the gap between the two tiers themselves. Like you look at someone like Agiel, and then you look at someone like August, and it's just like the massive jump. Or like S-Class starts like at like beginning of series Urza, and then but it, like S-Class also went to Gildarts, and it's just like, and then eventually you leave that tier, and there's too much of a, there's such a giant leap in between going from one tier versus like a tier below for Black Clover with enough teamwork and grouping can still win versus like enough. You're not going to have that same result if somebody's a full tier above you in Fairy Tail. You're just going to get stomped.
I mean, I guess it would have, like, tier is kind of vague, so like what do you mean by tiers exactly?
Well, I mean like Black Clover has like Captain, you have Supreme, Wizard King people, Fairy Tail's like Spriggan, Wizard Saint,
Yeah.
Dragon God.
So like Black Clover is like have people like a lot more be like I don't know, like it's more fluid is what I was saying. Like the gaps in characters are still like huge.
I mean, there's big jumps, but I mean like it's I haven't seen anywhere there's a point where it's like just somebody in another tier is so much higher than the previous one that they could just casually run through them all. Like I haven't like a random Supreme like I said I was gonna say the twins. Just real quick, like I don't see the twins like soloing all the captains.
Like for example, Black Asta in the Witcher's Forest would he would solo all the captains.
I don't know about that one.
Because you have the fact that when the third eye appeared, they were suppressed in their base forms, not even using their third eye. And they were fighting on par with Jack the Ripper, Nozel, and Charlotte, are all captains. And they even said, Charlotte said they weren't even using their full power. So like they were suppressed base, then you have their full power base, then you have their third eye, then you have the self-destruct, and then Spirit Ladros was still stronger than the strongest fauna ever was, and Asta no diff Spirit Ladros.
Well, the Asta we saw in the forest though was like a boosted version. Like he was stronger than when Asta did it at the volcano, because he couldn't control it in the volcano versus like when he used it with the Witch Queen's aid, he was able to. There was no issues in lag behind any of his abilities.
The difference is like a lot more magic there. Like I don't see how Asta would be weaker in the Witcher.
Well, wouldn't that just be circumstantial then to like the area he was in?
What do you mean?
I mean, if like that magic in the area is a factor, or do you mean like just in general being in the?
Talk about Asta's power
in the magic region or whatever. Oh, fuck, I can't remember what it's called. Oh my god, I'm gonna Google it. I can't remember what the freaking zones between the kingdoms are called.
Grand Magic region.
Grand Magic zones. I was thinking like dangerous magic zones. Like that doesn't sound right at all. But
yeah.
What was I saying? I was thinking. Never mind. I misinterpreted what you said. I thought it reversed. Okay. Like you were saying, like the Witch's Forest one had more magic, so it was like going more crazier. But it's the Grand Magic zone.
No.
But I mean, like
that version of Asta is like already would fight. He would destroy all the captains just based on the fact that the captains are struggling against suppressed.
The captain tier though, the captain tier moves though. It's gone up, whereas like Wizard Saint and stuff hasn't moved. But like we even like now, like captain level now, like whatever we would look at, like all the captains and anybody that we would say like Gaja or somebody that's like in that same genre, like Marileona or to a degree Mars or anybody. You group them all up and put them against like the twins or like a fourth Magicula, then like they're gonna win. I mean, if you count like, you know, you're gonna put like Asta and and stuff in that tier. For the most part, obviously Asta's different now. against like Lucifaro, and it's like they still have a chance. Versus like if you take, I mean, as you saw, you take everybody in like the same tier Blue Note, and you put them against Natsu. Natsu's just gonna fry him. He's just gonna one shot him. Or somebody like Irene, or somebody like Celine, they're just like completely no diffing the whole tier below them, like it's no problem. Like you don't got anybody like Acnologi, who's like everybody's below him, so he sold the planet twice. Like you don't have that same massive gap. Like the tiers are wider, but like the gaps between the tiers are just way bigger.
I don't get like, what is your point then? Your point is that like, I thought your main point was this, that, or not your main point, but this main point of yours was that Fairy Tail has a way, like, because this was started with the light speed argument, or like.
Yeah, I was just saying that I was just talking about how the gap between the tiers. It's like there's a wider jump between like going from captain level to going to supreme versus going wizard saint to spriggan.
Yeah, but it's also like different because like the captain level at the beginning of the series is very different by the end.
That's what I said. Like there's moves, but it's like captain level is like relative. Like the captains, even when the thank
shit.
you.
He's busting a nut.
Thank you for $10, Phil. I'll read it next time we get to a slow spot. The captains are still all relevant to each other, even when they power up. Versus like where they're at now, comparatively. Like you can take the tier directly above them, and put them all in a fight against like one member, and they're still gonna do fine. Versus, I'm talking about just like that gap between low wizard saint level to Irene, and I mean in reality that's like 2 to 3 tiers. That's not even just one jump. And then you look at like Guildarts is casually blitzing light speed, no problem, and that version of Guildarts is what on par with Blue Note, who's fodder to Natsu and base, like base low effort spriggan level people is nothing. Like somebody like that is completely nothing. So someone like Irene, who is in a tier above that, but is literally at the top of the tier above that, like an outlier in her own tier. Why does the majority of the fandom think Laxus is over Natsu? It's just because Natsu acts like that too, but that's just because of how he views stuff, like how he views other people in the guild. He still thinks Makarov's stronger than him.
I don't think like what you're saying though is like you're basically saying the same thing but differently.
I mean, I was just saying that that jump, like the jump between like where light speed starts in Black Clover and where light speed starts in Fairy Tail, like there's way more of an expanse of people and level with Fairy Tail versus like with Black Clover.
Yeah, I think that we just disagree there.
I mean, it's true. It's like, what are we going to look at? Way more arcs, way more events in the story, way more just general jumps between power levels and stuff. It is a larger gap between where light speed starts and where, because like even like where light speed starts, like that was base no problem. Like even at that level, it was nothing too big. Versus like when light speed showed up in Black Clover, it was still a pretty big deal. Like when light speed showed up, there were already known dozens of characters, dozens, a good horde of characters already that are well above that, versus when we got Patri, he was already near the top at the time.
Yeah, but I mean, there would be characters way stronger in other kingdoms, like Olapechka and Gaja and the Dark Triad. Like there was other characters, we just didn't know them yet.
As I'm saying though, it's like that was at the time, that was already like that was a big deal where the bar starts, versus like where the bar starts, it was already like, yeah, this is like a upper level of mid tier at best person. And then you look at like Sting, like base Sting, and then you look at now, like someone like where Irene sits. Whereas like Irene can make like wizard saint level people just by putting magic in an inanimate object. Like she can casually produce people at that level, like no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like disagreeing like how strong she is, but like the whole thing I guess we've been talking about is that we just disagree on how much stronger. Because like even if when Lightspeed was introduced for Fairy Tail, just because it was like not as impressive when it was introduced doesn't mean that like it's automatically going to be a different like for just because it was like considered fast and was introduced in Black Clover.
No, I'm just saying like
the
it's.
gap is different then.
I'm saying like when you look at like the spot of where it starts, like what Patri and like Yami level people to now it's like how many characters and levels are between that versus like base Sting and now, and like where like the peak goes to with like Irene. You have all the Wizard Saints, you have all the Battle Alliance Guild Masters, you have dragons, you have all of the Spriggan, you have subdivisions of the Spriggan, you have people like Animus.
Oh shit! You just busted a nut!
Oh, thank you for the $5, Phil Swift. The Phil Swift, that's impressive. You're still convinced. Wait, even the series is convinced despite him. Oh no, Natsu is just like. Natsu is overall stronger, but it's like Natsu needs Dragon Force and stuff, whereas like if you take out his all-in moves, Lactus is stronger, but it's like. It's one of those things that if they actually fought you, that, you know, it would be more directly decided. Because otherwise it's like Guild Arts is stronger than Lax is. Let's see. You're arguing about gaps for ridiculous. I mean, we were just talking. That's just semantics. I mean, really.
Yeah. Is this going? That was not going anywhere, though.
Yeah, as I was saying, like it's just semantics. It's just kind of like it's just part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Let people talk. That's the point. So you get more points across.
Well, did you have anything else to add? I was thinking of soon. I gotta go.
Oh yeah, you can go. We can.
My grandma, but.
Oh nice. You tell your grandma I said hi. We can call it. I mean, we can leave it here. I think we both made our points. We can let the audience decide, and maybe people on Twitter in the comments.
On Twitters.
I'll make a thing on Twitter, and I'll say like, hey, here's if you want to listen to it, and then whatever, post your opinions or whatever the hell. Chat, interactions. It'll be fun. And like the stream, both sides. Like, we need more likes. So Broku needs more likes. Make it more than 60 or 70.
Oh.
But more clicks.
What was the other one you want to do? Jalal versus Spade.
I feel like. Do you have the time? We can do that a different day.
Yeah, I want to do that a different day.
I'm trying to hold out for Jalal feats. I know he's gonna get something soon. I just gotta wait. It's just take me forever.
We still gotta do Gaja versus a grid.
Gaja versus a grid?
Yeah. I remember a while ago.
I don't even remember. Can I just say Zagrid and just leave it at that?
What?
I just want to let Zagrid win. Just let me have my guy. He's gonna hit him with his super lightning too hard. He's gonna show him the spell, and Zagrid is gonna try and figure out how to pronounce that, and he's gonna lose. Nobody can pronounce Gaja's Mega Lightning Ultimate Magic spell. I don't even remember.
What it's called?
It's like Astrazea Lumen.
Oh yeah,
it's super.
Oh, it's like a Apocalypra or something like that.
It's really hard to pronounce. It's just like Tabata opened Latin the book and he said, "I'm gonna find the hardest lightning words to use." Like, I don't even know what it means. I don't even know what the spell means.
Yeah, I don't like.
Let me do this. Apocalypra Astraza. Astruza. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. The knowledge exists.
Ready? Well, thanks for coming in, viewers.
Yeah.
Again at some point in the future.
100%.
Talking about Black Clover theories. I'm sure Rax and I will stream together again, especially after
Actually,
we read Fairy Tail.
there was another one I wanted to actually do before we do another Fairy Tail. One is do some with like Black Clover and Mashal.
Oh yeah.
Maybe do some Mashal characters. Dude, Mashal's got some good hacks. Are you caught up with Mashal?
No, I want to, but
Yeah,
I see like the
Mashal.
leaks and stuff, and it looks good.
You'll like it. You need to read it. Like you should, like if you start, you will probably be caught up like today. Like it's a fast read.
Oh yeah, because there's only what like 9,500 chapters.
And it's like just starting into the last arc, so it's the perfect time. I think you like it. It's like Black Clover, One Punch Man.
I loved it. I think I've read like 80 plus chapters. It's only like a couple months behind.
Gotta get caught up. Some of those matches, some of those characters are broken. I think some of them can compete with Black Clover.
Really?
So you got a handful in there. Like was Innocent Zero? That dude's broken. He has time and dark magic.
Oh wow.
It's OP. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for the debate. We'll do more. Like I said, I think the conversational ones are more. I think they go better.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm too
trying to win. Like neither of us trying to actually win. So
yeah, I'm too old to do the shouting matches anymore.
Yeah, dude, like when I do my Fairy Tail read, I'm doing like this time I'm actually doing like the chart that you made.
Oh,
Like,
hang on. I didn't notice you end. Let me this